It's the Mina's House Podcast, episode 158. Welcome. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Shana B.
Sherlock Homeboi, aka Garnett Briscoe.
Dexter Stuckey, aka Dexter One.
Okay, look how fast we got through that. Yes.
Yeah, we got through it fast, but I really want to comment on Shana's hair because I love it, and I also wanted to say happy birthday to Garnett. But I got that out the way now.
Thank you, Dex. I appreciate that.
Well, I was gonna get to that. Happy birthday, Pooh.
Thank y'all.
How was your birthday?
It was amazing. I really didn't do too much. Went out to eat, kicked it with some friends, came home, ate some cake, got drunk, went to sleep.
Did you get birthday sex?
No.
Oh, man.
It seems like I never get sex when I'm supposed to. Like ever. Like birthday
Not like
sex.
not on Valentine's Day. Like none of that.
Valentine's Day, birthday sex, like prom. I end up getting it like the next day. Never that day though.
But you have a girlfriend.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that kind of her job on your birthday?
Well, Mina should be dealing with some women issues too.
I don't think that's anybody's job. As far as that, I mean, it's my decision to do it that day too, as well, right?
Okay, yes, it's your body. You do what you want.
No, and I'm not saying, but I was pretty messed up. I knew I was, going to be out of commission, so it was just one of those nights.
Oh, it was those. I got drunk and okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, it's like those instances all over. Every time, I'm supposed to do it, that happens.
That's like a topic. Is your spouse obligated? Like, is that? I feel like that's kind of like that's written. Like when it's your birthday, Valentine's Day. Like these are the times when it's like you should know already. Like no.
You can say that. Garnett and I can not have a conversation. We can't say it.
I mean, hello. It's a celebration. Like, I almost as a woman expect. Okay, it's his birthday, or as even Valentine's Day.
That's how you like.
You said that?
Lazy. It sounds like a fit. Like a hair. Come on.
You didn't say it like that either.
Exactly.
Like, let me go on and give him something. It's his birthday.
Right. Like you gotta pull out a couple. Fine, I'll do that thing that you like that I hate doing, but I'll do it because it's your birthday. Like that's one of those days. No.
Yeah, but expected sex ain't always the best sex. Like you're gonna be expecting it.
I mean, it's not like 9:00 on my birthday night, but it's like at some point, that's just me. Like. I just feel like I had to condition myself to understand that there's certain days where, okay, I gotta be ready for this. Like you can't wear the ugly panties, like you gotta wear the nice ones, because some things may happen.
Right.
No, Shana, how do you feel?
I was gonna say, well, that's just on a normal any day that you're about to meet up with somebody. You're like, oh wait, no, what am I doing today? Can't wear those panties. No, can't wear those.
Right.
Just in case.
Right.
Again, stay ready and gotta get ready in the words of AI. Just in case I need them good panties on.
Sometimes I gotta get ready, Shana. Ready for that. Like, I'm not wearing a thong every day of my life. Like, there's no way.
This is true.
I have to be selective. I have to think, okay, let me go to the thong drawer and like pick one out.
I'm not 19 and Cisco thong is not out anymore. Those joints hurt.
So, okay. So let's get into what's in our feed because there's been a lot going on. So for people who listen every week, I'm sorry we were not on last week, but this little thing called the election, we were waiting for it to wrap up and it took 5 days. Which listen, I knew going into it that we weren't going to know the winner that night. And we talked about it on the pod. I was talking about it on air just because I knew that there were going to be more mail-in ballots. And I knew the laws going into election night. I mean, everybody doesn't know the laws, but I have a dual major and one of them is in political science. So I knew the laws when it came to certain states where they can't start counting early ballots until the day of election. But I didn't think it was going to be 5 days. I thought maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe three, the max. But when it got to 5, I'm like, what? So I was literally telling all of y'all, like, look, the day after the election, we doing the pod. I didn't think it was gonna be Saturday. So by Saturday, I was like, whatever, we'll just wait till our normal day when we do it. So a lot has happened. I just want you guys to kind of just give you an open forum to just talk about whatever you want, you know?
But I will say I agree with you. I definitely knew it was not going to be one day, but I was not. Even though, again, I heard on Monday, specifically with Pennsylvania, my state, that because of the number of mail-in ballots, they said Monday night before Tuesday the polls open, it will probably take them until at least Friday to count it. But in my mind, I was like, it's not going to take till Friday. And part of it is I probably didn't think the margins would be so close. So even though I knew that they were going to be counting, I just thought like we would have more wider margins, so that wouldn't necessarily matter. But I was like addicted, like the whole world, to CNN and all the news channels every 5 seconds. I'm just happy that it's somewhat over. We know there's other things going on. It's over for us.
Right.
But for some people, let me just say that. For some people, they don't know how to gracefully bow out. So it's over for us. It's over probably even primarily legally, but unfortunately, the saga is continuing for a portion of our country and governments that would like to drag this out even further. But we all know who won. So
I think to Shana's point, like that's the thing that like sticks out to me the most is that like it's like somewhat over. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, granted, I'm very new to this. Like this is like I'm like in election years. I'm a baby. Like this is my third presidential.
Third, mine too.
Presidential election that I was able to vote in. So it was just like I'm still learning a lot of things. Like with the mail-in ballots, I've always known what a mail-in ballot was, but like I didn't know that you had to wait until the day of to start counting them. But then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they wait till the day of? But I'm like, wait, because they always do mail-in ballots. It's just that this year, because of Corona, there were more. So you kind of would assume that they would like bend the rules a little bit. Maybe can we count a couple, like a couple of days before, whatever, a month before. But overall, I think it's fascinating, like just to see like so many people get involved in like politics and learn so much about it. Public figures, like your friends, everything like that. My issue though comes in with people who did not vote and people who are like actively being like Trump supporters now still. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have an issue with you supporting who you want to support. But there are two things that I have an issue with. One, you turning Donald Trump, being a MAGA supporter, into your identity. Like like, could you imagine a person still running around here saying, I supported Al Gore? And it's like, that's great. There are people who supported Donald Trump and they think that they're supposed to keep that flag in their lawn. Like, that's silly. Like, that's stupid to keep that stuff up there. Like, it's done. It's over with. Like, we're gonna move on to the next thing. Like people say, like we love Obama, but nobody has an Obama flag in their.
Right.
We're not doing that. We've moved on from it. Those people, and then the people who didn't vote, and they're sending and sharing the memes. If you didn't vote, you can't share a meme with me. Like that, you're from that. Like you can't do that. You can't talk to us about this stuff. But besides that, like I'm fascinated with it. I think it's cool. I like it. I'm happy.
I am just happy it's over.
Yes.
About y'all.
We clap it up for that.
It's almost over. No, that was like I never seen CNN so much in my damn life.
Hello.
That was a lot of coverage. I just think now we got to deal with a bunch of sore losers in a sense, like you said, Dex. Like it's a lot of people out here that's wearing that like on their back like a jersey. That's just wearing that. Actually, I stopped past my friend's house this weekend and one of his other friends stopped past and he walks in. Mind you, it's a house full of Black people, not to say that all Black people, go against Trump, but he walks in and just starts talking about Trump. It's the same day that we just found out Biden got elected. It's like people's was giving him energy back that wasn't good.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why would you even do that? Why are you putting yourself in a situation? You're walking in here with a bunch of strangers. You may know one or two people here, but other than that, you putting yourself in harm's way. And he wasn't saying anything bad, but it's like, why did you come here with that salty, sulking attitude to even, bring that up and ignite that? So I think that's, the bad part about it. Also, the good part about it is we do see people for who they are now.
Yeah.
Like it's out there, it's plain. The fact that they are, still championing him just let you know, okay, well, this person aligns with these thoughts, so to speak. So I'm happy that's over. Yeah, so I hope Biden can do a good job. And that's in what, January, right?
January
January
20th.
20th.
Yeah. So
See, I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, I was like everybody where I was watching CNN. It literally was on when I was going to bed. I would wake up every 2 hours, look at the numbers, go back to bed. I just felt like a crackhead, like a CNN crackhead, and I wasn't getting no sleep. And I don't know why I was so invested in this. It was, and they kept saying the same stuff. And I'm like, why do I keep watching this? They saying the same stuff. They doing math on TV. They writing down projections. Well, if he get this state, he'll get this state. If this state come in at 8 o'clock, he not gonna need that state. And I'm sitting there doing math, like, okay, if he get Vermont and Maine, then he won't really need Pennsylvania. I'm adding up electoral college votes. Like, I don't know what came over me. And like, granted, I have an interest in this because I have a whole major that I've never exercised in my life, right? So I clearly had an interest in this, but I don't understand where this obsession came from. And I kind of felt like a little crazy, but then I started seeing everybody else was just as obsessed. And I was like, okay, this ain't just me. But I really just love how this really mobilized our communities to be so invested in the process. And I want it to trickle down into more than just a presidential election, and people being invested in their communities and who runs their communities and who are making the laws, and just even knowing the laws. There's so much misinformation out there. Like, I had to do an Instagram live with the city commissioner in Philly because there was so much ignorance. Like, I was seeing somebody saying like, oh, how they still taking votes in Pennsylvania after election day. That was not happening. They weren't taking new votes. They're counting votes that are postmarked November 3rd. Because of the influx, the courts granted them the permission to get ballots 2 to 3 days after the 3rd. It doesn't mean someone sent it on the 4th, on the 5th. It means someone sent it on the 3rd, and the mailbox, the USPS just hasn't delivered it yet because they're overwhelmed with ballots that were sent on the 3rd.
Hold on. Are they overwhelmed? Because remember, the postmaster was working with our now president and they were creating some. So some of that I felt like was delayed on purpose. Some of it, I guess, of course, if you put it in the box that day, it's going to come the next day. But some of it was delayed a little bit on purpose. I ain't trying to hear it.
Right. So it was more so like that. Like, that was the annoying part about it.
Could you imagine delaying mail on purpose and then still losing because of the ones that were delivered? That's like,
like, bro, right? Like, that means that many people came out and voted. It's so crazy because he was like, all these dead people are voting. And I just saw this article to say that said no dead people voted. Like,
it was like 2 states that, like, say, I sent my mail-in ballot on October 30th and then I passed. And they were trying to argue again. It was like maybe under 20 votes in the million of votes. And they were trying to argue like, oh, those shouldn't count because they're dead. But like, they were alive when they cast the vote.
Yeah.
But bruh, you don't need to be talking about dead people because you send stimulus checks to dead people.
Speak on it, Mina.
So you send checks out without validating addresses, and now you want to validate addresses of all these people that are voting. Like, you have no legs to stand on, sir.
But also, I think he should know, like when the results came out, he went golfing. But you should know that something's not right when these results came out and like people across the country, actually people across the world, stepped out of their homes to
Right.
celebrate that you lost. They
Yeah.
weren't just celebrating Joe and Kamala; they were celebrating the fact that you lost. You're no longer the president. For me personally, whether no matter how hurt I am, I'm stepping back. I'm done. I'm not going to
Right.
argue with you because clearly you don't want me here.
Well, here's
Right,
the
like why
thing.
do you want this job still? Like I'm confused. Like
It's
clearly, when we look at the numbers now that those mail-in ballots are counted, I still did think the margins would be larger. But again, like when we look at the numbers now, clearly you lost your job, dude. You lost it. It's okay.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to say. I was just so disappointed in how close this was to begin with. And I think the disappointment just really came from this man's a racist. Like we've
Yeah.
all heard him say racist things. And I just cannot understand people who make excuses and still vote for him. Like you really think racism is something you can overlook? Well, okay, he did this to the economy or he did this right and you just gonna overlook racism? Like what?
Yeah, that was a lot of the conversation this weekend where, out of everything, he kept talking business, 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 and the people there is like, hey, well, what about this? And then, they usually stop when you start, questioning morals. I think the quote of the weekend during that day was morally bankrupt. That's what he called people, that that
Yes.
that support him. So
Yeah, but I didn't realize there were that many.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think took me back. Like, really? All 70 million y'all think racism is okay?
I think
70 million?
I think that was my issue on Tuesday night. That's why I'm happy we didn't do a show because I don't know if I would have been able to make it through it. Because on Tuesday night, at one point, like it was a lot of red. Like, you know what I mean? Like overall, like there's a lot of red on that map. And I was looking at it, and it's not just a Republican versus a Democrat. If that's what it was, it's like, okay, that's fine. But it's Donald Trump and it's the racism that really like bothers me. And it's just like these are places that if I went to, I wouldn't be welcome there. And one of those places is Mississippi, where a majority of my family lives. Like I have a large amount of family in Mississippi, and you guys don't care. Not my family, but the people that live there
Right.
don't care about racism. Like as a black man, like that's problematic. Like that makes me feel uncomfortable in the country that we're supposed to support and love and stuff. And then if you think about it, there's people who go into the military. I have cousins in the military from Mississippi, and it's like you're fighting for a country that clearly doesn't care anything about you. That's why like Tuesday I was like, let me just go take a shower. I drank liquor. I drank liquor in the bathtub. I was bad. It's just like
You had a moment. You took a bath and
I was
was
drinking. Yes, it was so bad on Tuesday. So Saturday, seeing that like turn around like that was just like a sigh of relief. And like you said, I mean, it is still problematic because like you see that maps is still there. You see there's areas that you're not welcome in, but overall, I think the country stood up for what's right.
barely.
Barely.
Like barely. That's really the troubling thing. And look, let me be clear. I'm Spanish. I don't know. Someone said something about a white girl. I ain't white. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
you are.
like
Who
You're
called you a white girl?
somebody said that you the token white girl in
Oh,
response to something like our pod or something. And I was like, what? I'm
freaking white girl.
Spanish.
Wow.
Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, I heard that you guys were the real heroines in this.
Well, that's where I was going with this. So my disappointment really came with the people in my community that voted for this man.
It
And
was a lot.
I do not understand how a Spanish person can vote for a man that puts Spanish kids into cages. And that really broke my heart because I don't care if you're legal or illegal. If you are Spanish, you know at least one or two people that are illegal. And please don't tell me no. Okay? At least one or two. They might be in your family, maybe they're in someone else's family. And if you don't, you need to meet more Spanish people. And you need more people like you around. And I'm not saying every Spanish person is illegal. What I'm saying is none of us are from here. None of us.
Right.
We all came here, whether you came 25 years ago and your whole family is a United States citizen, or you came here 5 months ago.
Yeah.
All of us know someone who is illegal. And for you to vote, not illegal, an immigrant, and for you to vote for a man that treats immigrants the way that he's treated them, dreamers who were born here, and he's sending them back just because their parents were illegal. I don't understand it. To me, it's almost like self-hate.
Yeah.
Like, how could you vote for this man? He put
Yeah.
people like look like you kids that look like your kids in cages. That was like to me.
Yeah, to see those numbers of, how many, Latinos and Spanish Americans voted for him, it was outstanding. But there was actually, it wasn't a large number, but there was an increase in the number of Black men that voted for him, which was a little surprising to me as well. Like, wow, okay. Like, I don't understand how that can go up. It should be going down. But the fact that, like, in both of those, not it just went up, and to see the numbers, it was like, whoa.
Didn't I say that in the last pod though? I read an article
I thought
that
about
said that the Black man was going to be the deciding factor. And it's crazy because when I was posting all my stuff, there was a lot of Black men hating. And literally, like, my response to them was, picture that you're a Black man supporting a racist.
Right. I have a neighbor. I have a neighbor who supported him and said, because, I've been working and my friends have been working, since his presidency. And I was not trying to be rude. I'm like, dude, you're a mechanic. No shade. And it's not like you work at like a Ford plant or something that he brought back into America business. You work at a business that's been established in Philadelphia for over 30 years.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and tell me that that is a direct result of his presidency. Again, if you were telling me, oh, well, he was able to bring in a Ford plant to Philadelphia, then that might be different. Like, that might be different of bringing jobs back into the country. But I'm like, that was a job that was already here. You just happened to get it. And I don't see how the two equate.
Yeah. Now, I've watched a lot of people in the last 4 years turn into like business wizards when you speak to them. Honestly, because they kind of like look and lean for that excuse. I get it, because you want to be the provider, you want to do this, you want to do that. But like you said, Shana, like that, what he's doing isn't even affecting your job like at all. Like, that has nothing to do with what you got going on. But yet, you like to have these conversations and feel like you're in and wanting to get tax breaks. It's like, the tax breaks aren't for you.
Right.
Like, you don't make enough to get a break.
Right.
Like, you just don't.
Right.
So it's I don't know. I just wanted to, piggyback off what Shana said.
Yeah, but I think what we're seeing is the 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, Ice Cube effect. And then what we're also seeing is people keep talking about the crime bill in '94 that Joe Biden, signed off on. Like, and here's the thing, I'm not making excuses, but sometimes when you put a bill into effect, you have to collaborate with other people, Republicans, other people, to put a bill and pass it, right? I'm pretty sure when they passed this bill, it wasn't like, well, I don't know, but I would like to think, how about that? I'll say optimistically speaking, I don't think people pass a bill with the intention of saying, oh, this is going to be the cause and effect. We want to put all these people in jail. We're going to pass this bill to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think sometimes people don't think things all the way through, and they pass certain bills. And then when you see the long-term effects of the bill, then you start like, oh, okay, this was a bad thing. Like, it's kind of like, Obamacare. When you're not that Obamacare is bad, because I have insurance through the marketplace, but there are things that need improvement with Obamacare. I'm sure when they were going to the table and trying to pass Obamacare, they wasn't like, oh, we want prescription meds to skyrocket. They wasn't thinking about that. They thinking about, oh, we want to provide free health, affordable health care for all Americans. But obviously there's always a cause and effect.
Right.
So the people harp on that, the fact that Joe Biden was a part of that bill.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that, like every presidency, going back to what you were saying, it's always a bill that you can go back on 20 years later and be like, you messed up. Because
Right.
like you said, you can't even see that far to know the effects of what's going to happen. So
But I was going to say, and nobody can go back and look at Trump's political history as they did Kim, Kamala, and of course
Right.
Joe, because he never served in public office. So it's
Right.
like it's
yeah,
easy. You can look at his businesses, which people don't really care about the fact that he filed bankruptcy more than almost any other American. But people can't look at anything that he's done that's affected us because he never held a public office.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. And
But
speaking of that bankruptcy, that's what the people be talking about. They think because they know what bankruptcy is, that they just know everything about business.
plus, like at the end of the day, that crime bill that Joe Biden was a part of, he now has the opportunity to fix it. That's one thing,
Right.
and then two, it, like Mina said, it's not a situation where like Joe Biden had the power to be like, this is going to be the crime bill. We're putting it out like that. People voted for that, and it
Mm.
wasn't just white people; it was black people. And like, if you think about how things are going right now, if they came out with another crime bill, do you think there are black people who live in inner cities who are consistently seeing crime happen in their neighborhood? Do you think they'll be like, no, don't do nothing at all? They're gonna want you to do something. They're just gonna maybe be a little bit more cautious about it because they don't want to ruin the lives of people. But they are going to want something done, just like the rest, like everybody else would. Nobody's wrong in that situation. It just didn't work out the way they planned for it to work out.
Right. And I think the one of the stipulations of the crime bill was crack versus cocaine, right? So they made it more they made crack more they gave more jail time for crack than they did cocaine. So at the time I think the thinking was, well, crack is more you can
Like an
get
African
addicted.
American kind of,
No,
yeah.
no, no, you can get addicted to it
Oh,
more.
oh,
Right. So let's make that more punishable selling crack than it is selling cocaine. Right. But they weren't sitting there breaking it down saying, well, cocaine goes to white people and crack goes to black people. So,
Yes, they
no,
was.
like, you think they was doing it? I don't, you
I
know,
think they were.
Yes,
I was
they
just about to
I
say
was.
because
don't,
crack
like,
was
you
a
think that's
more,
what happened here? Like,
yeah, it
or
was
they
a more
didn't,
inner city drug than cocaine.
Yeah.
It just was.
well,
But
what,
see, even with that being said, because I'm iffy about that. I'm like you, Mina. I'm iffy about that. My cousin will argue down all day. Yes, they knew because they put it in the black communities, this, that, and the third. And then I would say, well, they put it there, but nobody told you to smoke it. But that's neither here nor there. But now, with that being said, I do think that could be true. Like they put a certain thing in one neighborhood, and they're like, "We're going to crack down on this. We're not going to crack down on that one as much." But I think though, when you look at the stats and you see this crime happening, and it's happening more in this area, and this is the drug that's being used, I can kind of see why you would want to go after that drug a little bit more to protect that community. If the other community starts to do all this crack and this cocaine and stuff like that, and they start falling out and dying, hey, we got to take a look at what these people over here. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now with opioids. I just think
Mm.
don't like it because it's not a lot of black people that are like doing it. It's not like in neighborhoods with a lot of black people. But at the end of the day, like treating opioids as a disease and not a crime, I think that benefits black people as well. Like we're not going to just act like only white people are on opioids. It might be more prevalent in those communities, but we have those issues too.
Yeah.
yeah,
But to
I,
your point, what you said, I think that was part of it too, was crack. They're both addictive, but crack was a little bit more deadlier in terms of overdoses and everything, where
that's
people,
what
I
I was
mean,
trying to say.
people were doing cocaine and like
Right.
selling stocks and, kind of, it was leading to more kind of deaths and harder crime, but they're both super, super addictive.
Well, I think the thinking was this drug is causing more havoc, this and different kinds of havoc, right? And it's more addicted. So let's make it more of a crime to be caught with this than to be caught with the other thing. I mean, and obviously it disproportionately affected people of
yeah,
color, specifically black people.
yeah.
But go
It,
ahead, go ahead.
I was
You
gonna
don't know?
No, I was gonna say it
You
doesn't
didn't
make
have it?
sense. No, the fact that they even did that. So in order to even make crack, you need cocaine. So
Pain, yep.
why not make that the thing so it eliminate the crack? Why not
Right.
make that so harsh that you won't even get crack?
Because they might have been doing the cocaine and they didn't want to mess up their stash.
Well, that's what I think.
Wait, well, don't tell me no. Joe wasn't doing no cocaine.
I'm not saying Joe, but a lot of functioning.
Don't talk about my guy Joe.
People were doing it.
This is these conversations that people have.
Yeah.
And then how much of this was Joe Biden? He was on a bill that other people were on.
Right.
What was his?
Everybody like passed the bill. To your point, try to get everybody else to agree with it. And some of them people was on cocaine. I'm sorry, I'm not saying Joe.
Now, see, with Joe though, this is weird because I take this as an issue, but I also think this is kind of a good thing. Joe was one of the guys in the forefront, like this got to get passed. We got to do this, and this. So on one hand, it's like, damn, Joe, you really felt strongly about this. So like, damn. And then, so you got to take some blame for it. But then on the other hand, it's like, damn, he was that convincing. He was able to make everybody like come together to do this.
Right.
I mean, because at one point, I mean, when it's such like an epidemic going on, they're just focused on stopping it. And I don't think that they even know when it's like stopped or calmed down. They just keep the dogs on. So you get something, you know, a law on crack, which is like super old, you know, now, but like, you know, they'll charge you a lot for it. When it's like, bro, this was so long ago. People aren't even on this. But I don't know.
I just think it's ridiculous how people are like, oh, I just had a little crack. I shouldn't.
Crack with breakfast.
Right? Like I just had a little crack. You know. Like I just don't. How would you even argue? Like, it was just a little crack. I shouldn't go to jail. You know, like it shouldn't be that much deal. I like. How do we tackle these problems? It's like almost one of those things. Like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know. But I brought that up to say that that's one of the things that people still hold on to when it comes to Joe. And, you know, we can go on and on about that, but
one last thing I'm going to say about the election, as Dex talked about the non-voters who, when you say your vote doesn't count, clearly it counts. So vote the next time. But I also want to talk about the 50,000 votes that went to Kanye West. Y'all really wasted your vote on that man. We needed them 50. Guess what? Either party needed those 50,000 votes, and especially in some of the states that they were in. And y'all sat there and wrote in the man that you knew wasn't going to win and mailed that in. Like, you took your time to do that. Come on, people.
On government postage.
On government postage.
Shame on you.
And these people who did this are at least 18 years old. Just keep that in mind. At the very least, they're 18 years old.
Can I add to that? Every vote counts, guys. I mean, even if you voted for Kanye West, which I'm like, why would you do that?
Well, that vote didn't count.
But that was 50,000 that was taken away from both.
No, I agree. Yeah. But these people who are like, my vote don't count, your vote counts. I think this election really showed that.
Unless you voted for Kanye West, then your vote was a waste.
Valid, definitely invalid.
They were in there killing the votes like trash. But actually they didn't, and that shows you they were really killing it because they were able to give us a tally by state of who voted for him. 10,000 in Tennessee. I was like, what is going on in Tennessee? I love Kanye that much.
That's where he had his Sunday service. Well, I'm just glad it's over. You would think Trump would have a little bit of a class and he would know when to give it up. Like, bruh, hang up your jersey, take your water bottle, get off the court. But he just won't. So we'll see. He's suing Pennsylvania again from, he's just doing the most. So this is really embarrassing, I think, to our country. Like, and those diehard Trump-oniisms or Trumpians, whatever they call them, like, this makes them look really bad. Like, bruh,
I call them Trumpeters.
You're fired. Bye. So moving on, we spent a lot of time on that.
Dex disappeared. Where Dex at?
So Joe, I just admitted him again. So Joe is already working, even though officially he doesn't take office to January 20th. But so I heard that Trump is not letting anybody in the White House work with him. Like, he's supposed to be getting briefs as the president elect, not getting no FBI briefs, none of the national security briefs. Trump is being so petty. Like, everything Biden is doing is under the board right now. He formed a COVID advisory board. Like, he's not getting no support from the White House at all. He's being so petty. He's like, don't work with him or I'll fire you. That's basically what's going on. But there's talks of a COVID vaccine. So Pfizer is, a lot of people have been working on the vaccine, but Pfizer specifically says they have a vaccine that they've tested for at least 30 days, and they're saying it's 90% effective. And this is the control group of people who volunteered to get COVID injected to them, which I don't even understand why you would do that, but whatever. Right. Instead of going to OnlyFans, you went to go get COVID. Like, okay, if you put it that way, I guess I respect that. But this vaccine, they're saying in order to take it to the FDA, I believe they have to have about 90 days of data to support the fact that there's no alternative side effects. I was reading something that said that normally side effects appear within the first 2 to 3 months of taking a vaccine. So if this thing actually happens, are you guys going to take the vaccine?
No.
Don't do it.
Hold on that, man. I read this article and it was a couple things that like popped out to me that don't make sense. So I noticed you said something about 90%. What was that fact again?
So they're saying that it's 90% effective because when they're doing their trials, I guess they compare people who get it versus people who don't, and who have been affected by it, who have been exposed to it.
I'm happy I read the article because reading could be a little bit more effective, right? So when I read the article, they actually said it's 90% fewer cases than what they tested, and they tested a placebo. And if anybody knows what a placebo is, that is a pill that does absolutely
nothing. Right.
So if it's 90% more effective than a pill that does absolutely nothing, what is it actually doing?
Right.
That's one. Two, I also read the side effects. It said the side effects was standard for like adult vaccines, meaning you will get sick and stuff like that, headaches, fevers, aching. But they also said that it's worse than the flu shot and the pneumonia shot. So it's like, I know people that done that and you get super sick. So if it's worse than that, why am I taking this?
Like, well, not everybody, but to your point, that's why I don't take the flu shot anymore. I was getting a flu shot. It was something my company offered. I was getting it. And I realized, so when I was no longer with the company and I was going through different healthcare changes and they were offering it for free, I stopped getting it. And I realized I wasn't getting the flu twice a year either. But there are other people that get the flu shot and they're like, no, I need it. I never get the flu because, it's all going to be based on our immune system. But I'm not taking it because I don't want to take nothing new, period. Like, you ain't going to be, I'm not going to be in the number on the market test runs. And the one thing is just funny, like I was just reading through people's comments and they feel like Joe Biden is pushing a vaccine. To Nina's point, yes, they're pushing this COVID plan because there's not a plan in place. But quite as it's kept, Jared Kushner is on the board at Pfizer. And one of his jobs in his presidency is to get a vaccine in place before the end of the year. So that's my other thing is like, I get the rush. I get, we need to go back to arenas with people and they want to make people feel safe. But the rush to get this is like, it normally takes y'all years and years and years to come up with a vaccine. So no, I'm good on the new, we all going to be test dummies.
And I was just about to say that too. Like the fact that it's so soon, what's the reason they're putting this out there? Because they're saying that they just started this as far as like this vaccine. They know it's not even finished yet. Like it's not to completion. They haven't passed, anything other than the first couple months. So it's like, why is this information out here to tell us that you got something that's better than a placebo?
Well, it's really power. It's a power grab. You know, the country, everybody in the country is trying to find it. You know, to get the vaccine, and you know, if you're the country that gets the vaccine, I mean, you get the bragging rights. You know, you're you save the world.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about.
Also, if you're the new president elect, then you can jump in as soon as you get elected Monday morning. You jump in and be like, "Hey, look what they got." It makes you look really good too.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and the stock market went up. I was looking at my 401k. I was like, damn, the stock market skyrocketed after they talk about a 90% vaccine.
Yeah, everybody that was so against the vaccine went and actually invested in it. That's what happened.
Yep, a lot of people invested in it.
You know what's crazy?
Moderna,
I
Pfizer.
was I was about to buy Pfizer and I didn't. I need to trust my gut with stuff like this.
You probably should have bought Pfizer.
There's a lot of stuff I wish I would have bought. I just don't got the money.
I was about to say that Pfizer stock expensive, Mina. You got money.
Look, I got my little list here. I really do this. Don't be looking at my I really be looking, I'm like, ooh, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. I just need the money.
Mina's so organized. I love it.
Oh, thanks. All right, I'm not getting the vaccine either. I was just wondering. I was just putting it out there.
Nope.
You know, Travis Scott already said Astro World Fest is coming back in 2021. People making plans because they talking about a vaccine. I was just asking.
What's the other one? Coachella is already been announced.
Yeah,
one as well.
They talk about Usher talk about a residency in Vegas. Like, y'all, we in a pandemic. Y'all planning for 2021.
I'm going to that residency. When he puts that, I'm going. I don't care what we got going.
You're gonna go get COVID?
I'm there.
It's gonna be distance in the Caesars. It'll be distance.
I'm going.
In the Caesars, there's gonna be distance.
They don't be selling out every show anyway, so it'll be already mandated.
You don't think Usher in Vegas is gonna sell out?
No,
not every show. No.
Not a residency. No.
Because like Mariah did, well, some of hers sold out, but the second time I was there, they sell out every night.
I went to that Mariah one too. It definitely didn't. It didn't sell out that day. I was there, and if it did sell out the day I was there, people should get their money back.
I was just about to say, yeah, it'll be fine.
Y'all got money. Y'all going to residencies. I've never been to a Vegas residency.
Oh, I went to 3 this one weekend. It was Anita Baker, Mariah Carey, and Anita Baker, Mariah Carey, Jennifer Lopez.
Oh,
I was J-Lo.
She was good. J-Lo had like a bunch of like a set. Like it was like a set chain. Like Mariah had sets too, but not like J-Lo. J-Lo had a train at one point. Like come out of there. Like it was good. Like they were all good. My favorite was Anita Baker though. Like that woman is just, and hers was the most simple. Like as far as all of them, it was so simple, but like
but it's the voice for me probably.
Yeah.
You don't need all that hoopla and extra stuff when you really got some chops.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you something. I remember I saw Usher at the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, and it was damn near empty. It was like halfway filled. But his show was so good. Yeah. Like I was so impressed, and I was like, it's a shame that it's halfway empty, and he's so good. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's so musical. He's playing the piano. He's dancing. He's very talented.
That's how I be at these Ashanti shows.
I mean, I don't know about the singing. She's not singing. And I doubt she plays the piano. She's probably twerking and busting it open real good, though, huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
At Vegas?
No problem with me.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about T.I. because this caused quite a stir on social media. These days, I'm just always very surprised by the things that people react to. So he said, and I quote, "Atlanta is a beautiful progressive city filled with Black excellence. We uplift each other and win together. Stop coming here to kill each other. It's played out. Signed, management." So I think the timing of this, post was very bad because this is after King Von had been killed and some other people. There was a shootout outside of a lounge in Atlanta, and King Von's from Chicago, and apparently he had a shootout with some people who are from Atlanta. So it was kind of after that happened, so the timing was wrong. People assumed this was about that. He actually came out later and said that he would never say that about a close associate and a friend. That post wasn't about him. But Waka Flocka reacted to this. I saw 50 Cent reacted to this. Freddie Gibbs reacted to this. This is a lot of reaction. What do you guys think about this?
I think that T.I. was arrested with a machine gun in 2007 in Atlanta right before he was set to perform at the BET Awards or what the BET Hip Hop Awards. He was supposed to perform there. He did not perform because he was arrested that day. I'll never forget that story. And as soon as that came up, that popped right up in my head. You shut the fuck up. Like, you really shouldn't be talking about stuff like this, considering that you did it in
There,
Atlanta.
there's a whole line that says, "I got the same kind of guns like T.I."
You really didn't went to jail for these guns in Atlanta. So either you were playing with the guns, or you just wanted to take Instagram photo shoots with them, or you were going to shoot somebody.
Nah, the crime was okay because he did it in his hometown, so it doesn't
But he
matter.
said, "Stop coming to Atlanta to do this because we support
That's
you."
what I mean. As long as you stay where you're at and you do your mess, he don't care.
Well, he also got into a fight with Floyd Mayweather where
I
he was
was
throwing chairs and whatnot in Vegas.
Vegas.
He don't
So
make sense.
I don't know why I have all this random Ti knowledge in my head. Yeah.
No, so when he said that, I was like, wait, didn't he fight Mayweather over Tiny in Vegas?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, do we think that T.I. has grown up in the past couple of years from his previous ways?
I understood. I think I understood what he may have been trying to say, but it wasn't said the right way. He has this platform. Obviously people do pay attention to what he say, and I think when you talk about just the crime and these rappers dying, he could have said something in a way that was more unifying than like kind of divisive. And so I got where he was intending to go, but it just was the message was all wrong. And I do just think for somebody like him, he could have just said something that was a little bit more unifying. To your point, being a little bit more mature than a lot of these other younger rappers and things of that nature.
Well, what I don't understand is why it's inappropriate for other people to come to Atlanta and start issues. Shouldn't you also be addressing the people that live in Atlanta that are starting issues as
Right. And that was
well?
just my point. Like it could have been about a peace unification thing, not don't come here to do this. Like it should be like we shouldn't be doing this to each other. Like,
Right.
come on, like my young brother is like that's what I'm saying. Like I kind of was like, okay, but then I was like, whoa, what did you
But,
say though?
it's to actually piggyback off what you said too, Shayna. As far as him just for somebody that's like well read and can talk and articulate, he didn't do a great job at doing that. Like as far as just getting his message across. But I do think that whatever he was speaking on, since he said he wasn't talking about the King Von thing, there are many incidents of, at least in Atlanta in recent history, of people being from out of town and things happening. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe he's right. Maybe it is people from different cities and they, get into it there. Or maybe it's the people of Atlanta also not caring about the people that's not from there.
Bad things happen in Atlanta.
Don't say that, they'll come for you.
Yeah, about to say you about to get got.
But this is what I don't understand. Things happen in Miami, things happen in New York, things happen in LA. When you live in a city that is kind of like a city where people congregate, especially people in the music industry, we know where the popping places are. You go to LA, you go to New York, you go to Miami, or you go to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta is fairly new, even in that conversation. Even no, Miami's always been there. So, it's always been like kind of New York, LA, Miami. I think the Atlanta conversation has really come up in the past maybe 10, 15 years, So anytime you live in a city that's popping, things are going to happen. Like, I mean, we're near Philly. if more people lived in Philly, things would happen. PNB Rock moves away, Meek Mill moved away. You know what I'm saying? Like people normally move away when they start getting some, some kind of success, and they move to these cities that are a little bit more popular and where people are going, where it's more the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Philly isn't popular, but the scene is definitely more so in Atlanta, Miami, LA, and New York. So that's kind of what happens when you live in one of those cities.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, T.I. been saying a lot, and I guess he's trying to be like this adult, mature kind of leader. But people are gonna bring up your past, when you're trying to evolve. Like Waka Flocka said something like, dude, that used to be you. What are you talking about? Like, how you gonna speak down on people that where you literally used to do the same thing and be in that same kind of crowd?
Waka Flocka is so stupid though. Like every time he makes a statement though, like I literally don't agree with anything that T.I. did and what he's saying. Like this whole mayor of Atlanta thing that he's trying to do, like it's crazy to me. But like every time Waka Flocka speaks, I'm just like, damn. Even though I don't agree with T.I., I have to disagree with Waka Flocka because he's so stupid. Like you're literally saying that this man shouldn't be speaking up about violence happening. Although I don't completely agree with the way T.I. did it, he's speaking about violence happening in general, and you're telling them, "Oh, you used to do the same thing." Shut, like what?
Well, first of all, I've had a lot of conversations with Waka, and Waka is very intelligent, like super duper intelligent. Don't do that to Waka.
I don't know.
But I think he was trying to say, like, if you were ever a street dude, you can't talk down on the streets, kind of, like that. I think that was the rhetoric.
I don't agree. I understand what he was saying, but I don't agree because again,
you
like
can
I
evolve.
Said, T.I. is now the elder statesman, and he's supposed to help the younger generation because you've learned from those mistakes. Again, he didn't do it in a good way here, but that is what you're supposed to do because you walk that walk, and you're supposed to try to help them not meet the fate of some of these other guys. Like luckily, T.I. didn't meet that fate. I mean, he did do jail time like with all them guns, like he was going to war. It was a lot, but you're supposed to help. Just how we talk about women's empowerment, you help raise those women up. I think more Black men should be helping because they know the path that you could go down and help you avoid it. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you was gang banging. You can't be telling people stop gang banging. Like what?
That's the equivalent of saying like, well, you used to be a hooker, so you can never tell nobody not to be no hooker because you was one. It's like you used to smoke dope, you used to smoke crack and do all these drugs. Don't tell nobody not to do that because you did it. No, people learn from them. Mina, you say he was smart.
I'm saying as a person, I'm not in this particular situation. I respect your opinion, but people that are from the street probably feel a different way, whatever. But I'm just saying as a person, not in this particular, but as a person, he's actually very intelligent. So
he's also a Trump supporter too.
Yes,
anyways, moving on.
Avid.
I forgot to mention this, but can we talk about the fact that we have the first woman vice president? Her name is Kamala Harris. Can I add, I literally had a conversation with a Trump supporter, right, catch it. And I mentioned that she's the first, she's the first of everything. Even when I interviewed her, I said, you're the first this in the Senate. You're the first this district attorney. You're the first Black woman district attorney. The first South Asian in the Senate. And then this Trump supporter I was talking to was like, she's Jamaican. And I was like, she's Black. She's Jamaican. Like, why do you want to strip that from her? Like, oh, she's not Black. She's Jamaican. Right, but like,
we're losing.
Jamaican people are Black. What are you talking? I was like, oh.
Yeah, like I think I realized that is a form of racism when I was in 5th grade when I said my favorite wrestler is The Rock, and this guy who's Caucasian, he said, well, The Rock's not Black, he's Hawaiian. And I just remember being like, we can't have nothing. Like, you don't want us to have nothing.
They realized that Hawaii was in the 50 states.
At the point, I'm just like, well, look at this man's skin tone. Like, he's Black.
His father is from Philly, he Black.
it boggles my mind how it really bothers people to say that there is a black woman that is the first woman that is a VP. That doesn't bother me. I want to see more women be VP.
You're not racist.
Okay. Whether you're black, whether you're Asian, like if it bothers you that the first woman VP is a black woman so much that you don't even want to call her black, you want to say she's Jamaican. Oh, she's not South Asian. She's Indian. What?
And South Asian. And I was going to say, to your point, it bothers them that she's a woman. Like, so let's not even go there.
They hate that.
You know what? I said when I was on air on Monday, that was literally my thing. Like, how blessed are we? Both of my shows, how blessed are we to see in our lifetime the first black president and the first woman VP? Mm-hmm. Like, how amazing is that, right? And then someone literally said on my Twitter, I listened to so-and-so to escape politics, and Mina ruined it with her personal political opinion. And then I said today, let me tell you something. There is a woman in the White House, and she is not someone's wife, okay? Yeah. This is not something you ignore, all right? So if it bothers you that I'm talking about the first woman vice president, bye, Felicia. Bye, Roger. Bye, everybody. Like, there's no way you ignore that. I don't care what political party you are. This is a historic moment. You don't ignore that.
Just real quick with that, don't ignore it. Definitely celebrate it. But also, can you stop lying? I know y'all kids are not watching TV and making these statements about how they think that could be them and so forth and so on. Like,
Dexter!
The kids are not doing that. The kids are not, they're not doing that. The kids are not watching Joe and Kamala saying, like, that could be me one day. Not one child has ever done that. I know that the kids are not.
I have a paper downstairs where it says I'm going to be the first black president of the United States. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure. We've all done that. But I'm saying these kids are not. I've seen these statements on social media where these people will take a picture of their child looking at the TV and says she couldn't stop crying because this woman looks like her. That didn't happen. You're lying.
Listen, my niece was so excited. She wasn't crying. Now, I understand that you're saying
your niece was excited because you were excited.
People are pushing because we create our own worlds in social media, right? So I get that. But there are people that are excited. But again, I wasn't like filming her excitement, so to speak, because I was excited. But I understand you're saying they paint this narrative.
Your niece was mimicking your excitement. I saw somebody else post that, like, she's like, I told my daughters that Joe Biden won the presidency, and they started to cry. And somebody commented on, and they started to cry and said, he's going to ruin the country. And somebody commented on it, and they said, yes, that's because that's what you've told them.
Right. No, I understand that.
Stop it. These kids are not talking to y'all about this stuff.
But Dexter, you don't think it's important to see representation in all the highest leadership powers that we have? I mean, that in itself is valuable.
Super valuable. Like the first, when I watched I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I saw Brandy and Mekhi Phifer in there, and Brandy lived them. Oh my God, representation that goes through the movie.
Hello.
But I guarantee you, if I sit down with my niece or my nephew, they're not going to look at that movie and say, yo, Brandy lived through that movie. I can do a horror movie one day and live through it. And if they were to do that, which I don't think they would, I wouldn't tweet and post about it. And then it's happening a little too much. So you mean to tell me 30 different kids did this? Like the whole classroom jumped up and said the same thing. I don't believe it.
But Dexter, let me say this. When you see things happening, you start subconsciously believing that they can happen. I'll give you an example. Wait, Dexter, before Barack Obama was the president, I campaigned in Reading, Pennsylvania, in the hood. I don't know if you've ever been to Reading, but I was literally rolling up to crack houses trying to tell people to vote for Barack Obama.
Yes.
I mean, nobody knew who he was. This was 2008. You know how many older Black people I spoke to that said there's no way he could win? Why?
No, that right there.
Never seen it.
But that right there, Mina,
it can happen.
But that right there is my point exactly. Barack Obama becoming president is not really that much of a shocker to people in our age group because he was only third or fourth president that we saw, that we witnessed. We witnessed Bill Clinton, George Bush, and then Barack Obama. This is who we witnessed. So it's not really, to me, it's not really that much of a shocker or like so
No,
much.
it was a shocker to me. Look at how many states you just said were red.
Now
That's a shocker.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, with those older people, and they're like, there's no way they're ever going, because my grandmom said it, there's no way they're ever going to vote for a black man, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yes, there is. Like, we're going to do it. We're going to vote for him. I just find it very hard to believe that these children who are 5 and 6 years old, who have never really seen a president in their life besides like Donald Trump, they've never seen this stuff, and they're like so shocked that this happened. Like, what's shocking about it when you've never seen anything different? Like,
Dex, to Mina's point, you're saying her point. You're saying it was believable to you because you've seen other things that can be achieved in your lifetime. Where your grandmother, that's not the images that she saw. The images she saw were separation. So when these kids, I do agree that people are exaggerating the point with the children. But over time, when they see these images, it's not, when they get to high school, because nobody knows what they really want to do, it's not a far off thought. It is more normal to them that something can happen.
Right. But it's not abnormal to you if you never, like, it's the, go ahead, because my time is almost up.
Go ahead.
But it's just like a woman being in office to a 6-year-old, to me, just doesn't seem like it should be that shocking. To us, absolutely, because we've seen what happened to Hillary. We've seen the Sarah Palin stuff too. Like, to us, that is a little shocking. But a 6-year-old, I just don't think that 5 and 6 years old, I don't think that they will be looking at that like, oh my God, that's so shocking, this, that, and the third. I think for me, like, and like Shana, you just said it, when you were younger, you said, I would be the president, I could be the president, because this stuff isn't abnormal to us. Like, to sit there and say that a 6-year-old is bawling her eyes out because she sees Kamala Harris and she thinks that could be her, I just find that very hard to believe that they would even be in a situation to be shocked by that.
But I think you're thinking into it so much. It's really just a subliminal, like, the more people that you see that look like you in an arena, normalizes the people that are like you being in that arena. I'll give you an example. I have a political science major. Do you know why I didn't pursue that? I had dual major, television, radio, and film, and then political science. I didn't pursue that major because I remember my very first class, my political science class, sitting in class, and we're debating about the importance of Medicare versus Medicaid. And I'm literally in the class with all these privileged white kids who have no idea the difference between these two, nor they probably know someone who has benefited from this. And it's like, they don't get it. And I'm over here arguing with them because I have a different background and a different perspective. No one in my class has my back. No one looks like me. No one has lived what I've lived. So it's like, when you're seeing people that are not like you, and it makes it harder for you to believe that you can actually make a difference, or that you can actually be different, or be a leader, and it's like, that's why it's so important to see at least one. So it's a subliminal advancement that's happening right now, Dexter. It's not a subliminal, it's a subconscious advancement.
Yeah.
Dex still don't believe it.
I just don't believe these kids.
I get what you're saying about Instagram, which is why I said with you in the beginning. I understand people exaggerate things for social media, but we know they do that with anything. So kids is no different.
I almost, like, it's like when Black Panther came out, and what, Dexter, and all the kids were seeing the very first Black superhero.
Oh, I thought you meant when Chadwick Boseman died. They did it again. Oh my God, they were standing there like, they hit the kids like this.
But you don't think that's influential?
Yeah, that's different, because you know, watching wrestling. So if something happened, if you're watching it over and over again, and some of these kids were watching it over and over again, when that happened, that did affect them, because that movie meant something to them. Just like if something would have happened to The Rock when you was in the 5th grade, that would have affected you.
But the Rock is the Rock. You know what I mean? The Rock is that man that I see on wrestling. If the Rock passed away, my parents would be like, the Rock passed away. But Chris Farley passed away when I was young, and my parents didn't say the guy from the Ninja movie just died. They said Chris Farley passed away, and that was it. They said they told these kids Black Panther passed away, and then they had these kids sit there on the floor and pose like this in a Halloween costume and take a picture with all these other superheroes around. These kids didn't do this stuff on their own. Like, the parents are making them do that, and they're putting this stuff out there for social media, and I hate it.
Well,
I don't agree.
Okay, I guess The Rock didn't influence you to try to be a black wrestler.
So you definitely wouldn't have been around me when Tupac died, because my phone was ringing like we were married. That's how people calling to check on me.
All right, real quickly, let's talk about this. We weren't on for 2 weeks, so we got a lot to talk about. So this kind of goes along the Sweetie conversation, and I think she kind of started this out in the social universe about men and what their responsibility is and about paying rent. You know, Sweetie said something to the effect of, "Hey, if he's not paying your bills, if he's not buying you Birkin bags, he ain't it. You kick him to the side." So I think ever since then, there's been this conversation of what is the man's role? Should they be paying half rent? You know, half the rent? Should couples be splitting rent in today's age? So what do you guys think about that? That's our topic for today.
I think it's based on the budget. I really do. I think it's based on like the guy that you're with. Like, you know what his funds look like. And if you know that you want to live in a certain, if you tell this guy, like, I want you to pay all the bills, I don't want to pay bills, you have to be okay with him putting you in a home that he can afford. And even if that's his mom's house, if that's his mom's house that you guys have to stay in for a little bit, you have to be okay with it. And if you're not okay with that, then that's not the guy for you. And if you're saying this guy has to buy you bags and purses and stuff like that, I don't think you can really choose which one you want. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to do what's in his budget. I think it's cool to say, like, I want to provide for my woman, so forth and so on. Or women, they'll be like, well, my mom never worked a day in her life. My dad did this, that, and the third. I think budgets change. I think women are out here having degrees and stuff like that. I personally respect women too much to say, like, they shouldn't be working and stuff. Because I think to me, college wouldn't have been as fun with just a bunch of boys running around. I think women make college fun for me. And if women don't want to use their money or their skills to work or help pay bills or whatever, then maybe you shouldn't be going to college. You know what I mean? Maybe just stay home.
Like, I feel like when I hear statements like this, it's like I'm stuck in the 1920s. Like, what the, like, when did paying for your bills become like a bad thing? And when do we go back 30, 40, 50 years to requiring a man to sustain us? Because you know, when someone gives you something, they're gonna respect something in return. So
on their birthday.
So if you requiring bags and rent to be paid, he's gonna be requiring some things as well. Like, I don't understand that. What's wrong with just paying half? I can't wrap my head around why this is the conversation right now.
Well, just real quick, I will say this one thing that a lot of men will say this same thing. Like, a lot of older guys will say, I do think a man should be providing for his wife. Like, she shouldn't be, her money is her money and I provide for the family. And I know men in my family who personally say that. And I can tell you right now, and this is something that women don't know. So I'm putting you women up on game here. Those same men who are in my family who say that also will tell me that I should not just be, or not just have one woman.
Well, I mean,
talk, Dex, because I heard the same thing. Yeah. Now, I honestly think, I mean, it's just 1 + 1 = 2. I think it's just the smartest decision. If, like what Dex said, you know, if your man, even if he does have it, like, if you can help out and participate, it allows both of you guys to save. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing. I honestly just think it's the easiest, it's the smartest thing to do, is to try to break things down. Maybe it don't even have to be equally, right? Maybe it's just putting something forward, because I think that like, what do women do with the money that they're saving? I mean, well, with the money that like they're not paying for anything, but yet they're still making, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100K. So like, what are you doing with that extra money? Like, where is it going? You're just out here living for free. That's cool. But you don't judge a man for not wanting to sign up for that, because like Dex said, the turnaround, well, they the guys that are giving us the game growing up, they hate this damn relationship. 9 times out of 10, they not happy. You're the only one that's happy in this.
Or you think you're happy. Yeah, I would just say that, like, again, I think it's based on budgets. I just know for myself, I've not been in that situation yet. But I do think, yes, like if my mate or my husband is able to pay the mortgage and says, babe, I got this, there's obviously still things that I'm going to do, whether it's groceries, whether it's cable, which is like a mortgage bill. There's other things that are still going to happen. But I do think that those are conversations that we have, just to break down, because I don't want to be like, it's not really like a trying to be independent thing. I just don't want to be dependent on nobody for all of my resources, because I've only worked. Now I don't mind falling back a little bit on my work if you want to take some of this load off, but at the same time, I'm not trying to like just not do anything.
Yeah.
Unless you just force me to, I mean, then, but I would still probably do something. And I would still probably look for ways that I'm contributing to our household.
And my thing is this too. I guess, for the people that may look at it from the other point of view, like let's say there's a guy out there, right, and he didn't do anything, like he didn't provide, he didn't want to pay half of the bills. He just lived with this woman and a woman paid all of the bills. I do not think he's going to get looked at, very highly by society as far as standards. You know what I'm saying? So why should it be okay on the other side when women are doing, just as well, if not better? If both of you guys are making 100K, that means y'all have 200K,
Right.
not just 100K, and then you blowing your money on Miami trips.
Right.
And I was just going to say, to your point, if the roles flip, like I want to be able to, say, Bay says, hey, Shana, I'm taking care of the mortgage, and God forbid something happens. Hopefully, I've saved for us, or I'm making enough that I want to be able to take care of you. Now, to Garnett's point, I don't want no freeloader, but I also want to be that mate that if something happens and I'm able to provide for us, and I know that normally we'd go half or you do it or whatever, I want to be able to do that too.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be what I say. I think that kind of thinking doesn't really think of your relationship as a partnership. It's more because it's putting a lot more pressure on one partner for the financial. And what I've learned is when you allow someone to control different parts of your thing via it be financial, it really creates an unequalness in your relationship, and it manifests in other ways. If he's paying for all the bills, maybe he's like, okay, well, you need to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the laundry. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a partnership. So if he's going to be doing the whole financial thing, he's going to want something from you. So it's like, for me, I just feel like really going half is the bare minimum. For me, it should be really for any relationship. And if somebody wants to step up and say, hey, I'm going to pay more because they want to, maybe they're a little bit more traditional in their gender roles or whatever, I'm okay with that. But for you to come into a situation and say, this is my requirement and you got to pay half my bills and you got to do this and you got to do, well, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you come into a situation requiring that, I mean, I don't know if that relationship is gonna last. And again, I'm not saying men who pay all the bills, that relationship doesn't last. If that's what he wants to do, or her, then you allow that to happen. But I think when you put that pressure on someone, I think it creates a problem within the relationship, and it could create inequalities. In general, it should be a partnership. Okay. Shana, to your point, if you paying all the bills, I'm gonna save for a rainy day. And let me tell y'all something, ladies. You can't require, and men, you can't require something from someone that you're not willing to give yourself. Okay. So if you want him to pay all the bills, okay, you need to hold it down. So if something happens and one day he can't, you can pay all the bills.
Right.
Because that's what a partnership is about. It's not about, oh, you handle all this, you do all this. It's about, you do this, you tackle that, you handle this. So I just think that I try to be respectful of how everybody feels about the relationship, but I feel like women need to be a little bit more progressive in understanding that it's not just, oh, you pay all the bills. It's supposed to be a partnership. And if you are coming into that relationship saying you're going to pay all the bills, just expect that there to be some inequality someplace else in your relationship. Because the dude will pop up and be like, okay, well, I'm paying all the bills. What you doing?
Yeah, I mean, a dude, if he's paying all the bills, he expects everything to be right, everything to be on time. Like, he wants you to jump. If he wants you to jump on one foot, jump on one foot.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Listen, this
kind
ain't no Coming to America, Prince Hakeem.
right, and that's very unfair to his partner. But that's the situation that you guys are in now because you don't want to work together, you know, as a team and put your money together. And I really feel like work as far as like splitting the bills is also unselfish when it comes to, you know, different aspirations because you have the extra money, you may have the extra time, you know, instead of just one person putting all the money into the bills to keep a roof over top of both of our heads. Now, you know, I'm able to start a podcast or start another business and not just have to work. You know, you're able to diversify a little bit more.
So before we wrap up, I want to actually, so Dexter actually sent a post about this. And the picture that he sent was the post said, y'all splitting rent with grown men, the same grown men God created to provide. Right. So so can we talk about that? Because last time I checked, Adam gave Eve half his rib. If we're going to talk about why men were put on earth, so that is symbolic for we sharing these ribs. So you got half my rib, I got the other half. So I don't know why these old school kind of thinking kind of are spilling into 2020.
And I was going to say, when they look back at biblical days and the things that the women did for the
Right.
household, it wasn't no just go vacuum no floors. Like they was out there slaughtering meat, bringing it in, cleaning it, cooking. Like y'all not even ready to do that type stuff. So please, just stop it.
Right. That's exactly it. I mean, you want to talk about it was the man, you know, man was put here to provide. Well, back in those days, what were women doing? They was raising kids, they was cooking, cleaning. Can you cook? Can
Making
you clean?
clothes, making
Can you
furniture.
sew? Like you over here talking about you supposed to provide. Well, what you supposed to do?
In the
If
field.
you want to go into these gender roles, we could go there. Which
Right.
is why I don't like to go into these gender roles because I can cook and clean, but that's not all I can do, boo boo. So I'm not gonna put that on. Oh, your responsibility is to provide, because I don't want somebody to tell me, well, your responsibility is to cook and clean. Here's a Swifter. Go get go get my dinner ready. Like what? So be careful when you put in these little old school roles on people because they turn it around and put it on you and you're not gonna like it. Okay. And a lot of y'all can't cook.
That's a fact. Big fact.
Listen, I see when we was all quarantined and y'all was cooking, a lot of y'all can't cook. Putting up shit that look all dry. Girl, you need to put olive oil on that.
And like you said, I can cook, but every once in a while, I don't want to have to cook. Let's share in these responsibilities.
Right. Well, that wraps things up. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We missed 2 weeks, so this is a lengthy one, the 152nd episode of the Mina's House podcast. I'm Mina SayWhat.
I'm Shana B.
Garnett Briscoe, aka Sherlock Homeboi.
And we lost Dexter, but we still love you, boo. Bye. Talk to you next week.